done to remedy a mistake, and then whether or not a mistake has been properly addressed or not. Thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Denise Shawnee. I live at 13, 16, 17th Street in Mitchell, Nebraska. And it is my understanding that this area has been known to have flooding from the Spotted Tail Creek at times. Is there something in place to assure the flooding from the creek might not cause the holding pits or the storage tanks to overflow and then empty the disposable water into the ground? Would the commission assure that there is something in place to keep this from happening? Should this area flood again from the Spotted Tail Creek? With regards to the flooding, does the state have the ability to decide that site alterations need to be done and then make the applicant responsible for making sure those site alterations would be done in a correct manner? I am against this injection well going in, so thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, gentlemen. My name is Mike Sarchette, 70729 North Highland Road, Minnetonka. My reason for being here today is to help you guys. And I think as you go through this hearing, you realize that that's the reason most of us are here. What we're concerned about is exactly the quality of life that you've been hearing from these people. And that's one of the things that I think is more unique about Nebraska than most people realize. I came here as a first-year teacher in 1974 from Colorado. My wife and I were raised on ranches in Colorado. We fully intended to go back to Colorado or go to Nebraska after teaching 1 year in Scottsbluff. Things changed. After teaching my first year in Nebraska, I became aware of what amazing resources we have in the form of people and water. And it is amazing. When you look at the states around us, that's not something that they can say. And so I signed on for year 2, and obviously that went a bit longer. And I ended up teaching 30 years in Scottsbluff, and loved every year, and I think it was a great opportunity. And during that time, I became so involved with the people and the quality of people in this state that that's the reason I volunteered to help work with some of the landowners and some of the public concerned people preparing for this meeting. And as I did this, it developed even amazing additional respect. The first time I met with the group, there was probably about 35 of them. We met several times, over 80 people came. And what astounded me was they came for the same reasons. They asked me to come for the same reason. They wanted to be sure that they were not being alarmist, that they were not making statements that were misleading, and that they could have an intelligent, respectful approach towards helping the commission make this decision. And again, that really greatly expands my respect for these people that I've learned to love here. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about was simply the fact that everything we thought we knew in science 30 years ago, 20 years ago, and most of it 10 years ago was wrong. You know, I'm so old that I remember when plate tectonics was called continental drift, and there was an argument as to whether it actually happened. But now when we look at the base rock of western Nebraska, we see that the base rock in western Nebraska was made up of 3 island arcs that were compressed, slammed together as this continent was being formed. Pretty highly fractured. We look over to the Rocky Mountains and we realize that Nebraska was impacted by all 3 of the Rocky Mountain orogenies. These uplift sent fracture lines that extended in hundreds, if not thousands of miles in all directions. And after that event, we've had things like the Guernsey Sunrise uplift and other tectonic features like the Black Hills. And my point being that this is an area that we don't know enough about, and we have a lot to learn. And I hope that we can help you decide that we need more information so we can make better decisions and protect not only the people, but our most valuable resource, the water, for Nebraska. Thank you. Thank you.
But I'm a mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother not going to go into that. We all know that accidents happen. They're going to happen. That's why we have Murphy's Law. Do we have those regulations? And can we pay for these? Are the investigations that need to be done to keep this water placed to where it's no when it's starting to see? So it's going to be terribly expensive. Now my next concern. I had a great granddaughter who's about to be born in 2 months. She's a meals. She can't come and talk to me, so I'm talking for her. My grandson goes to Mitchell High School. These 80 trucks a day are going to lumber past his high school. How'd you like to be his teacher, trying to keep a 15-year-old interested with all that going on outside? Think about track meets, basketball tournaments. Parents, friends, family from 6 or 8 different schools, all there, all day or in the evening. There's going to be terrific traffic parking along the roads of people walking to these events. Here come these 80 trucks. Well, we don't even want to consider that. But it's just unthinkable. I hope that you guys can take this into consideration. I thank you very much for bringing this. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to make some remarks here today. My name is Geological. I have a paper here that I'd like to submit to the record whenever you want. But in lieu of the time constraints, I would simply make a couple of remarks. First of all, the idea of dumping and ejecting millions of gallons of highly toxic chemicals into the ground through, by, and under freshwater aquifers is a recipe for disaster. One of the biggest problems is there's absolutely no regulation, no control on this thing. The state of Nebraska, of course, is in favor of gas development like other western states. But the big problem is there's absolutely no federal control whatsoever. Under the main regulatory legislative piece is the Safe Drinking Water Act. And we all heard of the Halliburton loophole, which prevents the EPA from engaging, enforcing, or even monitoring a project like this. It is non-existent. So here we have a situation where millions of gallons of toxic fluids will be dumped into the ground, and there's absolutely no control, no regulation, virtually no oversight, and it's like I said, it's a recipe for disaster, and I highly recommend that this project not be approved. And like I said, I have a document here I'd like to submit for the record, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer whatever. Really, really against this project. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Ken Winston. I represent the Nebraska Sierra Club, and I grew up a mile away from Director Cito. So I'm right across the field from his house. The Nebraska Sierra Club is opposed to this proposed application for many reasons. I'm going to only talk about 3 of them this morning. First of all, we're here in support of the local people who are speaking out. Everyone so far has spoken against this and provided excellent reasons for opposition. And we ask the Commission to pay attention to those messages because they're well reasoned and they're well researched. And we believe that those voices should be heard. That we should indeed have a country that is of the people, by the people, and for the people. So we ask that for the Commission to behave in that, take that into consideration. We also support the call of Senator Haar and Senator Stinner to delay this process until appropriate rules can be put in place to protect our resources. One thing that has not been mentioned so far, initially I was doing some research on the subject of the Commission's authority in this area, and specifically I was noticing that the Commission's authority is their purpose is to deal with two areas specifically, to promote development of oil and gas in the state of Nebraska, and also to prevent waste. And we believe that looking at this particular proposal, that doesn't need it. And so we question whether this is, we think that there may need to be statutory amendment just to permit this to happen in the first place. We also believe that there need to be rules amendments, as Senator Haar described this morning, to protect our water, to protect our land and other natural resources, and also to protect the interests of taxpayers. And then finally, we believe there's a number of other concerns that, particularly the concerns of local people. One of the things that hasn't been mentioned is the concerns about the impact on wildlife. And I've heard reports of the endangered swift fox being in the area. If that is indeed the case, that should be investigated and determined before the commission goes any further. And then just finally, we intend to support the interests and concerns of the local people in whatever way we can throughout this process. And in conclusion, we ask the commission to deny the proposed the application for the proposed fracking disposal well. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Sandy Gompert, and my address is 130151 County Road E. Mitchell. We own land about 5 or 6 miles from the proposed well site. I guess I speak as from the heart. I can't imagine giving water like that to my granddaughters to drink. And they also own land. I've been staring at that all morning, thinking, you know, we have such good water, and I hate for it to turn into something like that. I think we need to consider the long-term future. Another concern I have is the traffic that's going to be going past Mitchell High School. I have occasion to drive by there when they're having activities. Sometimes it's just one-lane traffic because there's cars, trucks, pickups parked on both sides. There's also, if you're going to have 80 trucks going by, is that going to do something to the quality of air that we have, especially in an area like the high school where they're going to be going slow? Again, I guess my main thing is, you know, the personal feelings from the heart. I think we need to protect our water so that we don't end up with something like it's sitting here on the table. Thank you.
I'm going to take a 10-minute break at this time. And also I would ask those people who have spoken, I don't want to rob anyone of the opportunity to speak, but maybe waiting outside. Are there people waiting outside?
There's a few, yeah.
And so I would like to remind you that if we could please rotate so that as many people as possible, it would be greatly appreciated. So we'll be in recess for approximately 10 minutes.